Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me for another episode. And before I introduce my guests, I want to say thank you to Beth. Beth sent an email, and she specifically requested that I talk with an Etsy seller or sellers that have successful furniture shops. So Beth, this episode is in response to your email. Thank you for pushing me to find my guest today. And I'm really excited to find my guest today because I actually met Dylan at the Etsy Up conference, which I talked about sometime last year. My guests are Monika and Dylan, and they run the Etsy shop Blissopia. And did I say that correctly, or is it Blissopia? I was practicing this morning and then I completely forgot to ask you.
Hi, thanks for having us on. It's Blissopia. You did say it correctly.
Okay, good. And hi, Dylan.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. So first of all, thank you both for being on the podcast. And Dylan and I met at the Etsy Up conference. And just before we jump into it, Dylan, how did you enjoy the conference?
I actually really liked it. I was actually very surprised how good it was. And I came away with a huge notebook full of to-dos and ways that we can improve our business.
Yes.
Some of which I'm actually still working on. It's almost a year now.
Yes, yes. I know. I felt the same way too. I thought that they did a good job selecting the speakers, and I'm hoping they will offer something similar again. It doesn't seem like it will be this year, but hopefully in the future.
Yeah, I hope so too. It was really good.
All right. So before we jump into it, can I just have both of you give an introduction about who you are and how you ended up on Etsy?
Okay. I'm Monika, and who I am, I start with entrepreneur, an artist, a customer service, not sure what the word is. I deal with a lot of the customer service, a lot of the shipping, the little bit of the designing, the photography. We pretty much do everything together. As a whole for the whole shop. And then we also am a mother. So the balance is what we're always working on, the balance of work and family.
And I'd like to talk about that because I know many sellers are balancing parenthood and running a business, and it's not always easy to do that.
Yes, definitely. And for us, this is our full-time job right now. Well, has been for the last year and a half or so. So it's very important for us to have that balance because we do need to support our family while being with our family. So.
Oh yes. And Dylan, what role do you have in running your business?
Well, by trade, I'm a product designer. I've been doing that for probably about 30 years. So I'm kind of very handy in the whole marketing, design, engineering side of things. So my role is basically the other half of the business. So I actually handle anything to do with design, production, manufacturing,
photography.
Oh, yeah.
And
he runs our Instagram.
Yeah, social media. And then I play a little hand in managing the kids as well.
Just a little.
Yeah.
We kind of split the social media. We'll all do Facebook and Pinterest, and he does most of the Instagram, a little bit of Facebook. So
That's a nice split. So I know a little bit about how you ended up on Etsy, but I would like to jump into that a bit. So I know you both came from Fortune 500 companies and then took the leap and decided to start your own business. What was the process that you went through to actually go from full-time employment to becoming your own bosses and running your own business? And how much preparation did you have to put in before you made that jump?
Well, for us, it was kind of organic. It just happened on its own because my company moved. The commute was just too much, wasn't working for me. So I left the company, and pretty much that's when the Blissopia started. And then for Dylan, he was basically laid off a number of years later. So it pretty much, the choice was made for us.
Okay.
To go that way.
Yeah. And we actually started out like basically upcycling.
Okay.
That was like our first business plan. And basically we both kind of simultaneously came up with the idea, just randomly, like, hey, let's do something to do with furniture and upcycling. So we went down into our basement, found like an old filing cabinet down there, rusty filing cabinet, took it out into the garden and basically turned this thing into like a beautiful pink stenciled filing cabinet.
We knew we wanted to focus on like eco-friendly, so upcycling kind of had that in there where people that was throwing out their vintage or stuff. But our focus was always on quality as well. We wouldn't take a piece of veneered or like.
Yeah, it had to be solid wood.
Yeah,
like,
so we started always with solid wood. Always knew we wanted to go into our own designs.
Yeah.
But didn't know how long that would take.
Yeah, so then we were doing upcycling for a bit. And I don't know how it came about. I think we needed a dining table and for our apartment. So I'm like, okay, I'll make one for us. And it came out like beautiful. So it says, hey, let's put this on Etsy and see if we can gain any traction with it. And we basically did some photography of it, made a listing for the dining table and a bench that went with it, and basically sold one almost straight away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then,
originally we decided he would focus on more building. I would focus on upcycling since that's what, I did. I could do it. I enjoyed it. And the dining tables and our designs went, were hot so fast that there was no time to focus on anything else.
Right.
And it had a bonus of we would photograph our dining pieces, our benches, our shelves, whatever we were making, and it was made to order, so we only had to photograph the piece once. Whereas if it was an upcycled piece, it was very unique. We'd have to do new photography every time.
Yeah.
Once it sold, and it was, once I upcycled it into gray, somebody'd be like, oh, I love this piece, I want it in yellow. We're like, well, so one of a kind, and now I have to go search for something maybe kind of similar.
Yeah.
Oh, it actually was really nice to make our own pieces. Because we could just do a made-to-order kind of platform for ourselves on Etsy.
Yeah. Now, so did you always know Etsy was where you wanted to start running your business, or did you stumble on it?
I don't remember how long ago, like, I knew about Etsy or Dylan. We originally were going to do our own website. But then me and Dylan got talking, and I said, well, how is someone going to find us on our own website? Which we've had from the start. That was definitely a first step for us as well. Mm-hmm. But Etsy came with its own customer base. Yeah. So we're like, we have nothing to lose just putting our stuff on Etsy because it has a customer base already. It has its own search engine, everything going for it. So why not do both? So we pretty much simultaneously started both sides of the business.
And do you still run your own website now?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we actually have a website on Squarespace.
Okay.
We started out, I think we made our own website. I actually had to learn like programming and stuff to do it.
Oh, you did it old school?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I did it old school, and then I think then we moved it to WordPress, and then that was still kind of clunky. Yeah. And then Squarespace came out, and I kind of gave it a test run, and it was just like so easy. It was just like it was like a dream to use. It was so nice
compared to our other options. Yeah.
Did you migrate the site that you already had live over to Squarespace, or did you just start from scratch?
We started from scratch. There was no way to migrate, which was a problem. And it also leads to one of the kind of things to think about on a website is I know there's Shopify out there, which I haven't looked at yet. Yeah. But I hear good things about it. And my biggest complaint about Squarespace, which I'm not sure if Shopify has the same issue, is that each SKU you have is basically it's an individual line item. So, for example, we offer a farmhouse bench in 6 different stain colors and 8 different sizes. So I can't do the math on that.
Yeah.
You have to do
48?
that. It's a lot of SKUs.
And if it's a painted bench, it comes in 12 colors. So
if you want to then go in and like, hey, lower the price or increase the price or change your color name, you basically have to go to every SKU to do that.
Oh,
and
right.
I have like about 60 products right now. So that's like thousands of SKUs. So it'd be nice if you had a feature where you could basically like select all or select groups and like basically bulk editing, batch editing. So I'm actually going to look at Shopify to see if they offer that. So that may make us even move to Shopify.
Oh, I see. And that would make sense.
It is a bit of a pain.
Yeah, I mean, because we do all the work ourselves. So adding each piece and, keeping up with multiple selling outlets online is difficult.
Yeah. But the other side of Squarespace, the actual interface and the design and the catalogs and stuff is really nice.
Yeah.
They've done a good job on that.
I've heard good things about Squarespace. I've never used it. I'm still struggling with WordPress. And then, but just the thought of migrating a site over, from one platform to another, sounds really like a technical nightmare. And so that tends to hold me back sometimes when I think about it. Now, but on Etsy, are you able to use the variations features and the new SKU feature that they have to help resolve this particular issue when you're selling on that platform?
We don't use the SKU feature right now at all. And because we're all made to order.
Yeah.
So, and then the variations, we've always used variations. We have used the drop-down menus. I actually would love to see more variations because I think as of right now, there's still only 2 options.
Yeah.
And sometimes like our items, not like our consoles, for instance, we have a stained top and a painted bottom. So we need those 2 variations, but then we also have different sizes we offer. So we need a 3rd variation
right.
So that kind of, makes it difficult. We tell customers to tell us the paint color, for instance, in the notes section versus, in checkout and things like that. So, we kind of cover it, but it would be great to be able to have more of those drop-down variations.
And typically, what's your turnaround time? Because every piece is handmade and there's quite a bit of customization that goes into each one.
It depends on the product. If it's something like a floating shelf, then our lead time is about 2 weeks on that.
Or less.
If it's a dining table, depending on how busy we are, it's usually about 3 to 5 weeks.
Okay. And sorry, go on, Monika.
Oh, no, I was saying benches kind of fall in the middle, so it depends on the size and the intricacy of each item.
Yeah. And so with running a business like that, where most people don't usually get what they buy, in Amazon time because you're actually making it after they place the order. Have you found that customers in general are good about understanding the turnaround times that you have and working with that and not really getting too impatient?
I definitely see on Etsy, customers kind of expect the longer lead time. They understand it's handmade, handcrafted. I found on other venues that we sell, it's a little more difficult. They expect things in Amazon time. So I do think Etsy has some of the most nicest customers.
Yeah, Etsy has the best customers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll be sending you a check in the mail for saying that. All right. So now you both run this business together. Can we talk about time management and what a typical day looks like for each of you, because you're both handling different aspects of the business? And Monika, if you want to start with your day, what that looks like, how you manage the time, including also being full-time parents. How do you guys sort through all that?
Okay, so yeah, it's one of the biggest struggles we have. So our youngest is 11 months right now.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, that's actually why I wasn't at Etsy Up. I was 9 months pregnant.
Oh, okay.
I was hoping to be there because, like, I would say the closest, like, face to face with Etsy all the time. But yeah, I was 9 months pregnant and was so uncomfortable. I wasn't about to walk around.
Yeah, no, not in New York.
Yeah, so we have an 11-month-old. So usually he's like my alarm. He wakes up in the morning, then he goes back to sleep, which is usually around between 5 and 6 in the morning. So that's when my day starts.
Okay.
I try to get an hour or two of work in before the kids wake up for the day, around 7 or 8 a.m. And then kind of do family, kid-oriented things. Until Dylan could give me a break sometime, maybe in the afternoon. We also have a sitter that comes twice a week that gives me about 10 hours, an extra 10 hours in between there. So yeah, Dylan gives me a break sometimes, so I get to put another couple hours in. And then at night, when the kids go to bed around at 8, I get back on, to answer conversations and everything else that needs to be done, basically, the business. So that's kind of my typical day. It's broken up into three like 2-hour segments, unless we have the sitter coming. So then I get a nice longer 5-hour kind of segment in the middle.
Okay.
And
Dylan, how does your day look like?
My natural alarm goes off at 5, and I'm basically up and out within like 10 minutes. Luckily, our workshop is about 100 yards from our house. We have an old farmhouse with a big barn.
Oh, nice.
We've actually converted the barn into our wood shop. So basically, I make some coffee, stroll up there, and then actually start working, making furniture until probably about 8:30. When everyone's up and about, I'll come back down to the house. Monika and I will work out together. Then we'll have breakfast, and after breakfast, I go back up to the shop until lunchtime, and then work until dinner time. Then it's like put the kids to bedtime. After that, depending on how busy we are, I will either stay in and enjoy the evening or go back out to the shop and work until probably about 9:30. So they're long days.
Yeah.
But broken up. We break them up as much as we can with playing with the kids and kind of making the most of the fact that we do work from home, and the kids are here all the time.
Yeah, we do keep our hours flexible, and
yes.
But it is. I mean, we're making it sound like it's great and glamorous. It's owning your own business is like,
it's a lot of hours.
It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work. There's no downtime. If you're sick, you have to work.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that was literally going to be my next question was, you guys make it sound like the holy grail that lots of creative entrepreneurs strive to attain is having your studio, right where your home is, and you wake up and you get to work on your business all day and spend time with your kids and have it all work together and be successful. But I know it's not easy, and I know you didn't get there right in the beginning when you started. So
no, so this is probably version 60 of like our kids. Like and in 6 months it'll be totally different. Like we're always trying. We have a goal a vision of where we want to get to. Where we are now, I don't think the whole work-life balance thing is actually possible, but we're trying to get as close as we can to it. And it's like when I worked in the corporate world, it was like, well, let's have our own business, then we can manage our time schedule and like go for strolls in the daytime.
Yes.
I have like infinitely more free time than I did when I worked 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like, the dream isn't the reality.
Yeah, and the whole vacation, and like that's the first time I felt it was like the first vacation we took. I was like, oh my God, like I'm never on vacation. I'm always worrying. Like Dylan's more, because he does more of the building side.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's away from the shop, he's he has no choice. He's away from the shop.
Yeah.
Where I see, a conversation pop up on Etsy or something needs to get back to, I'm constantly answering that. And even like when we put our shop on vacation, if there's an order currently out there, or if I've had already a conversation with a customer, that keeps going. So I do not remember a vacation in the last 4 years that I did not have to work.
Yeah. And when we do go on vacation, and basically because we usually have like a nice amount of orders on the go, we basically have to make all the orders that are going to ship out like the couple of weeks we're away, plus the week we get back. So basically we have to do 3 weeks worth of work in the weeks before we go on vacation, just so we don't like get behind on stuff.
Yeah, so nothing's late.
So by the time we get on vacation, we're usually so burnt out that you just sleep the whole vacation.
Just sleep through, right? Yeah.
Just from preparing to go on vacation.
And then when you get back, you're going to have to do the same exact thing, like work.
Yeah.
So hey, up it.
So you're not making the 4-hour work week sound very realistic right now, which I'm glad, because I like people, especially when one is considering running a handmade business. That book, for anyone who's read it, I don't think really applies to a business owner that runs a handmade business.
I think it can, but especially in the beginning, you're always trying to grow, learn, do something differently, do something better. It was constantly, and I want to say like more go-getters, like we're always trying to improve ourselves and our company. So we don't really allow ourselves to sit back, relax, and just let, things happen.
Yeah.
We're very, I would say, proactive in trying to just better our business and better our lives. So.
Okay. Now, have you ever considered if there are parts of your business that you wouldn't mind outsourcing, or are you very particular about keeping everything in-house and keeping your hands on everything?
From the beginning, our plan, our goal is basically to outsource 100% of everything eventually. Okay. Except like this, there's like, we'll still be there kind of controlling the direction and the design kind of philosophy and everything to basically keep it as a brand, controlling the brand. But yeah, the accounting, the manufacturing, the purchasing, basically everything we're totally fine with having somebody else doing.
Okay.
That was always our outlook. We never started this as a hobby. We always had the goal and the foresight in mind to make this a large company. And to bring, because our focus is really on like eco-friendly, really, good quality, solid wood products.
Yeah.
So making that available to the masses, and but keeping, the handmade kind of aspect to it, or hands-on thing. So we recently outsourced our bookkeeping, which was like a huge headache for me forever, and I would recommend that to everyone who's at that point where they're having a hard time balancing, because a bookkeeper can do stuff so fast and so much more efficiently, and they know the questions to ask, and because it was a lot of work on me every tax season to try to make up for the months that I wasn't keeping good track of things. So
yeah, I've made that mistake too, where I thought, okay, it's just 1 month, I'll catch up the next month and do 2 months worth of bookkeeping, and it's a nightmare. It's much worse than it sounds like it would
especially at tax time.
Yes. And so does that mean that right now, as you're moving forward, you look at potential production partners, and how do you go about selecting who you might want to work with down the road?
That's a question. The answer to that is we're not exactly sure. We're at the point where we're learning how to do that. Like we've started to attend more of like the commercial trade shows and stuff, where those potential people hang out, and basically asking questions like, what do we need to do? What do you need to see from us to get a quote?
But there's some like important things to us. For instance, like Dylan and I were talking about, we want people that treat their employees well.
Yes.
Because kind of like a fair trade kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause that's important to us.
Yeah.
And to keep the eco-friendliness in it, that we keep with our stains, top coats.
Yeah, keep everything in America. Everything has to be American made.
Okay.
It's one of our things.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's definitely ideals that we look for, but we're not at the point of really approaching people yet.
We're at that point. There's a quote out there that says, "What got you here won't get you there."
Yeah.
So everything we know we've used to get where we are now.
Yeah.
So everywhere we go from now on, we basically have to learn.
Yeah. You need new knowledge to move forward.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we're doing a lot of networking and reading and stuff, and just learning by experience.
Okay. Now you talked about goal setting, and I want to touch on that because you guys have done a good job of growing your business and just staying on that upward trend. So how do you set your goals and milestones that you want to accomplish? Do you plan for the year? Do you plan by the quarter? Or do you plan based on specific things that you want to accomplish but don't necessarily have a time frame for them?
Well, I take a really close look at the numbers all the time. We definitely plan the year ahead, like Dylan taught me this kind of saying, if the goal doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough.
Yes.
I've never looked at our number and been like, okay, yeah, this is achievable because it's like a 20% growth. It's like, no, okay, this is where we want to be. So this is our goal. Our goal is going to be where we want to be, not where we think it can be.
Yeah.
So our goals have always been huge because it's like, you know, they say like you shoot for the stars, but you know, or shoot for the moon and end up in the stars or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
So, you know, shooting for what we want, and if we don't make it there, we're still way ahead of where we were the year prior.
Yes.
And always looking to diversify. So looking at our goals that way for sure.
Yeah, and we have one of our traditions is basically the whole between Christmas and New Year's period every year, we actually sit down individually and together and plan out our goals for the following year. We review the goals from the previous year and then plan the goals for the next year. And basically the next year is based, like all the actions we do, the stuff we do is based on that.
Okay.
And that kind of keeps us on track. And there's days where you wake up and you're like, why am I doing this? What is this for? And then you kind of look at your goals, you look at your vision board and you're like, oh, that's why. And
yeah, I was going to ask if you have something tangible that you can refer to on those days where you just don't want to. I have lately many more of those than I would like. And so I'm constantly, I have a notebook and I constantly look in it. And I like how you said, if the goal doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough, because I was having a conversation with one of my sisters about a project I'm working on, for, the podcast. And I remember saying, this is just impossible. I can't do this. It's not going to happen. And she was like, well, that's why it's not happening, because you try and do things that you can do, whereas you should be trying to do things that feel like you can't do them, because then you're really working towards something that's bigger than you imagine.
Yes, absolutely. And positivity is like key and stuff. Like one of the biggest things that changed my life was watching, there's a movie called The Secret. It probably came out about 15 years ago now. But it's all about just like the law of attraction. And
okay, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, having a vision and basically just believing in that vision.
Yeah.
That it will, like it, not even though it will come true, like it is true.
Right.
And basically that kind of constantly nudges you in the direction that you want to go.
Yeah, I feel like, because even like based on what Dylan was saying, you're kind of working for our business. Like we always worked in the sense like we have a huge company, even when it's tiny, even when it was quote unquote a hobby. Like we didn't, we had other jobs and stuff. We always took it as a huge company. Like, okay, this is our company. How do we want to treat our customers? Like even if we didn't have the money to, we never had any huge like issues, thank God. Or, problems, anything like that happen. But, you're always thinking like, okay, this customer's not satisfied. Let's just make the customer happy. Like just do it.
Yeah.
rather than, arguing over, $5 in shipping or,
Yes.
whatever it was. Like, it wasn't, we really looked into like some really great customer service companies like Zappos and Nordstrom and saw like their philosophy. I actually worked in Nordstrom in college, and it made me realize like how much customer based they are. And I've really worked in customer service my whole life. So I know what makes, customers happy, and really in the end, is it worth it for us? Yeah. And we have a lot of repeat customers, I think, because of that. Like, we're there, they love our products, and they just come back.
Yeah, that's great. And that's huge. How long did it take, if you can recall, for you to get to a point where your business was profitable?
Okay, that's the tricky one, because profitable means what? It's paying everyone's salaries plus money. Like, basically, once we didn't have to put money into the business, was really fast.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would say less than 6 months, where we didn't have to support the business anymore. The business could support itself.
Yes.
And then from there, probably another year before we could actually take money out of the business.
Okay. Okay. And that sounds realistic and I like to ask that just to set expectations at somewhere where people know that, things don't always like right away. You're not, your business isn't going to be, it can bring in money, but bringing in money is different from actually being profitable or self-sustaining. And I think sometimes people get confused with that because they think, if it's bringing in money, it's profitable, but that doesn't always equate.
Yeah. And we made a conscious decision from the beginning to any money that we did make from the business to put back in the business to make us better. Like tons of money in tools to make things better, quicker, faster. Dylan probably could talk more about that end.
Yeah, we're constantly, upgrading our machinery and equipment, just because it's a very labor-intensive thing to make furniture.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So as much as you can cut down the time, it helps everybody. And along with that, the quality increases because you're using better tools, better machinery.
Yeah.
So that's we're constantly, as much as we can, we put money back into the business.
And it makes Dylan's life, our life, more enjoyable when you don't have to sand stuff for hours on end. I like carpal tunnel. Yeah, there's times like where Dylan can't uncramp his fingers from sanding for so long. And it definitely makes life more enjoyable when you have the right tools.
Yeah, and it allows you to scale easily as well. Because from the beginning, because as Monika was saying, we're running this as it is a real, like, a big company.
Yes.
We both have experience working for big companies in manufacturing and stuff. So when we design our products here and the procedures we use to make them, we basically design guides and jigs and tools. So it's easy to basically recreate the same thing over and over again. So like our bench legs, we have jigs and guides set up. So we basically set them out and you get like a perfect leg every time. There's like very little variation. There's no room for errors or mistakes. Because we want to get basically the best product, the highest quality product we can out to our customer.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that actually, is how do you ensure that you get, a similar type of product each time? And I guess you just answered that. The other question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's always going to be unique, though, because it is natural. So you're never going to, one beam is never going to look like another. So it's all, but that's the beauty of it.
Yes.
Right? Everyone has its own little dents and dings.
Yeah. And then one of the last steps in the process is we do some distressing and stuff to some of the products. And that makes them gives them their unique characteristics.
Nice. Now, the other question I have, which is unique to businesses like yours, where you sell products that are bulkier than most typical Etsy shops, is shipping. So your shipping can't just be like the regular, put it on a scale and, pay for the postage and slap it on. How do you handle shipping of large pieces of furniture and items that you sell?
We use, there's two services we use, UPS and UShip. So basically, anything that's a bench or smaller goes via UPS.
Okay.
And we just through experience, we've become very good at packaging, creating an efficient way of packaging a product, so it's not too big and bulky, which drives up the price, and also so it doesn't get to the customer damaged. So we've got very good at that. A year ago, we actually started to get custom boxes made for us, which
on our popular pieces like benches and shelves.
Which helps out a lot. And then we have inserts that go in there to keep the product safe. So yeah, those things are kind of relatively easy because UPS will just come and pick them up. The bigger stuff, which are dining tables,
those are difficult.
Yeah, we use UShip, which is basically it's uship.com, and it's basically there's a bunch of people out there that spend their days driving across country, north to south, in the country, in vans and trucks, basically just picking products and furniture and pets and you name it, they'll take it as they go.
Yeah.
And
motorcycles.
So basically, you go on their website. We put our dining table up there, almost like an eBay listing, and you say, "I need this dining table to go to Washington State to be picked up by this date and delivered by this date," and they'll bid on it. So somebody will say, "I'll do it for $200." The guy come in and be like, "I'll do it for $160," and by the end of that deadline, you end up with a guy that does it for $150. He's got 5-star reviews, and then So
we do blanket wrap service for our dining tables and stuff, which basically means it's minimal amount of packaging, and it's not going to be crated. It's not going to be put on a pallet. It's not going to be once it's loaded on a truck here at our in New York, in upstate New York. It basically doesn't get unloaded until it gets to its destination.
So that's to the buyer.
Yes, correct. So if they're in California, Washington State, once in a while it needs to be moved to get something else off the truck, but it's not moved onto a different truck, where a lot of freight companies, that's what they do. You have to put it on a pallet. They use a pallet jack. They put it down. They slam it on top or underneath something else because it's getting to put on another truck that's going to Colorado because this truck was only going to Chicago, that. And so that minimizes any kind of damages, any kind of, anything that can happen to our tables, which in a way you might be paying a slight premium on the shipping. But it also, that's the only way we found that we can get our product out to California, to Washington State, to Nevada. We ship all over the United States. So, and that's actually West Coast is really big for us, California.
I can imagine.
Yeah, Texas, California, and Chicago and Brooklyn, and New York, here in New York City, are our 4 biggest customer bases. So we have to really know how to ship to those customers in a time-efficient way, in a money-efficient way.
Yeah. Now, because uship.com has the bidding process, how are you able to tell your buyers how much shipping will cost if it's going to have to be bid on before you know what the cost will be?
Yeah, it's through experience. Okay. We know basically it's going to cost, usually for a table, it costs around $350 to get to California, and it costs minimally less to get to, let's say, Florida, and then half that to get to the Northeast. So the customer, if they don't talk to me prior, they'll just pay whatever, and then we'll refund any kind of overages, which most of our product, like I said, goes to California, Nevada, Washington State. So we're up there in the $350 or plus dollar range. Otherwise, if they talk to me, we've had things go to Pennsylvania and things, I say, okay, it'll be around 200, it'll be around 150. And any overages, we definitely refund anything that's more than that.
Okay. This is so intriguing. I don't know if you know, there's this show on TV. It's called Shipping Wars. I haven't seen it in a while. I used to watch it on A&E. And that's exactly what they would do. They would I didn't know what website they would be on, but these people drive these trucks around the country and they bid on how much they're going to take to ship something. But it was always counterintuitive to me because they would be bidding each other down. And I thought, why? You know where you're going. Why are you down bidding the other person? And
they want the job.
yeah, I guess so. And now that you said this, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. It's the Dylans and Monikas of the world that are sending stuff through these people.
Yeah, that show is actually, those are U-ship people, drivers.
Oh, they are U-ship people.
Yeah.
Oh.
They picked the characters to make the show interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Yes. Okay, so you did see that show before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still on, but I found it entertaining. So let's talk about shop promotion. And I know you mentioned earlier that you both split managing your social media accounts. Can we talk about specifically what strategies each of you use on the platforms that you're responsible for?
Yeah, I've kind of focused on Instagram and a little Facebook. And basically started that, but it was Etsy up almost a year ago that got me into that. Everyone's like, you have to be on Instagram, otherwise you don't exist.
Yes.
So
at that point, we weren't on Instagram. Well, I guess we weren't really existing.
So basically, I kind of created an account then and like did some Googling and kind of figured out basically what to do. But then it was like, I think around earlier this year, probably around February, I actually took a couple of classes in Instagram marketing.
Oh, wow.
I actually had to like drive to New York City and they were like 5-hour classes.
Oh, these were like in-person classes?
Yeah.
That is serious. Yeah. Okay.
And my mind was like fried by the end of them just because there was like so much behind the scenes stuff in Instagram and Facebook.
Wow.
So we've been kind of like doing that and struggling ever since, just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because it's constantly evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Like a year ago, you could basically just like post awesome pictures and organically your follower count would grow.
Yeah.
That doesn't work anymore. Like you can post pictures and you're not going to gain followers. Now you have to work with, what are they called? Influencers.
Yes.
Find people that have 50,000 followers and send them free product and they photograph it and put it on their Instagram.
Yeah. So
and you gain followers.
Kind of found out with like Instagram, you need to collaborate with others. Versus like, I focus on Pinterest, which is actually the biggest bang for our buck, I would say.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Pinterest is great. And we've had Pinterest for a while. But now with Etsy stats, you can really see where your business is driving from. So a big part of I would say that 50% of our traffic on Etsy is coming from social media. And about 80% of that is coming from Pinterest alone.
Wow.
And our Pinterest isn't the best out there either. Like I haven't put in enough time probably, but I do run some promos. Everything that we do make has been pinned on there. It's been pinned multiple times. Okay. And there's a lot we could still do with Pinterest. So they do run some classes of their own online that you can sit and understand more their stats and how to do the promos as well through them. So I would say that would be the biggest. But although we've been doing Facebook the longest of everything.
Yeah. And then, we've done a couple of rounds recently of ads on Facebook.
How did those turn out?
Confusing. It's like we made a mistake of not tracking them. Like we should have done a coupon code or something. Yeah. Put in this coupon code and get 5% off. So we actually we don't know how many of our sales came from those ads. We can see how many people, like we got like 800 extra views a day because of them, because you can see that. But we don't know how it drove sales.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're going to basically have another go at and do some A/B testing and that kind of stuff. Okay. Because it's, like one person I follow is a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He's a big social media guy and he's basically, he's like the best guy out there when it comes to like social media marketing stuff. So basically we follow a lot of his principles
Okay.
And his principles kind of made me cross that line of actually doing the promos, because he kind of like laughs about it, saying people complain about, how much a promo costs. He's like, but do you realize what a great deal it is compared to like running an ad in a magazine or running a commercial, like what you had to do back in the day,
Yeah.
And it really is. It's kind of ridiculous how like you can, for a few bucks, you can really affect your sales. And if you really break it down, like, why aren't we all doing it?
Yeah, I know. And now almost every social media platform has an ad service. I think they all do. Pinterest has it. Instagram, now you can do ads. Facebook, and then Twitter as well.
And even Etsy, right? You can run all your ads on Etsy as well. So there's a lot of marketing.
Yes. And honestly, in comparison to what were the traditional advertising methods, like he said, like TV commercials and magazine or print ads, the costs are not anything near that. And, it's enough to at least experiment and see what works and what doesn't. But
that's great.
It's all time consumption.
I think it's a great tool for small shops. Back in the day, only the large companies could invest that much money on ads versus now even, little Etsy shops can do it.
Yeah. Now, with social media, are you doing everything manually, or do you use any social media planning tools to try and help make just your presence on there more manageable?
Yes and no. So I have looked at tools like Hootsuite and some others, and then there's some tools out there that analyze your Instagram feed and posts and followers and give you lots of stats and stuff. But right now I'm not using any of those. I found that I was spending too much time, like basically just analyzing stuff to death.
Yeah.
And my return on the time I was putting in I wasn't getting much out of it in terms of like more followers and sales and stuff. So right now I'm just doing everything manually, like, because like Instagram's more of a lifestyle, thing. So it's like, as I'm making stuff, or as Monika's doing something, we'll just snap some pictures and put them in a folder and basically post them just to kind of show our process and our lifestyle more.
And like the human aspect of it all as well.
Yes. And I agree. And I know you've probably heard people say, it's better to keep, like you said, keep social media human, let people see, what's going on the back end and how things are happening, and make it more organic. And I tried tools too, and it felt they did make things easier. I didn't understand the stats. So for me, the stats weren't what held me up. What held me up was really just trying to figure out how to optimize the tools with social media, which got to be really overwhelming after a while. And so now I'm just down to everything manually. Anything I post, I'm actually physically typing it right there and then. And yes, it's more time consuming. It's a bit more cumbersome. I don't know what stats, as far as what customer behavior is or follower behavior, because I don't have access to any of that other than people commenting and then me responding and what have you. And I don't know if it's the best way to do it, but right now I just had to take a step back from all the tools and say, I'm just going to do me. So now I know you have the Squarespace website. Do you do any blogging? Because, we've heard that, blogging can help to draw more traffic in, or do you keep it strictly e-commerce?
We're strictly e-commerce. We have thought about blogging, but I think we were kind of trying to figure out, what do our customers want to see? Like, do our customers read blogs about farmhouse furniture?
Yeah. Like how to keep the blog going, like what gives our customers value.
And so we kind of figured out, we kind of thought that our customers aren't going to be reading blogs about anything that we want to write about or we'll be writing about, like how how we make a farmhouse table.
Yeah.
Would be a good post for a page on our website, but how many blog posts can you write about running a furniture business that will excite our customers?
Yeah.
We think like they'll be more interested like in Instagram. One of the things is we have a lot of our followers are like woodworkers and other people that make furniture.
Okay, that makes sense.
We're attracting them. So I'm trying to get it more towards, this is a goal we've just set recently, is to try and attract more of the interior designy architects, people that Pinterest their dream kitchens pictures, those kind of people, that market.
Yeah. Oh, can I suggest something?
Yeah.
So I had, what's his name? Max. I can't remember his last name. The guy who started Apartment Therapy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes. And he was on the podcast. And one thing he said was that he liked it when people approached him because he understood small businesses, I should say. He understood what it felt like to be a growing small business and trying to get attention from, the bigger guys who can really help to get your name out there. And one of the promises he made on the podcast was that any Etsy seller who wanted to try and get their product in, on Apartment Therapy or, on their site could send it to him and he would take a look. And if it was a fit, display it or, have it featured there. I think you guys should do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I have the address and everything in there. I'll send that to you.
Thank you.
Because I really think that you guys have Apartment Therapy style furniture, and I can just envision what they would do with your furniture in one of their shoots. So, okay, what advice would you give to a newer seller who is trying to make it grow their business selling furniture? What would you tell that person right now today who might be just at the beginning stages and struggling to figure out how to just get on the right path?
I guess my thing would be don't wait until everything is perfect. But there's an asterisk at the end of that sentence. So when it comes to like your photography, your listing descriptions, what else is there? Like like stuff that slows people down. Like I need to find this, I need to do that, I need to get this just right until I can post it, and then I'll post it, and then I'll like have an Etsy site. Yeah. So my advice is to don't let all the details slow you down. But when it comes to your actual product, don't show that until it's like the quality is where you want it. Because you see some stuff on there, and it's like, we bought stuff on Etsy and we've had it delivered, and it's like, they could have done better than this. So get your product to a standard where it's like as good as you can do at the time. Yeah. And then post it, but don't let like your photography slow you down and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
You can still see some of our listings still have our original photography from years ago.
Oh, really?
And we're actually going through and constantly updating it. We do our photography in like batches. So some of our photography is up to date, some is still old, but we never let anything slow us down.
Hold you back. Right. And Monika, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. You have to just do it. Okay. I had a thought and I totally lost it when you started talking about photography. But your original question was if someone's stuck or if somebody doesn't know like how to start. I wasn't. Yeah,
if they're either one. So if they're stuck and don't really know what path to take, but they know that this is what they want to do.
I think looking at the big picture, like a lot of the companies that were our quote unquote competitors when we started 5 years ago are not around on Etsy because they started their company as a hobby, I feel. Yeah. and you can't sustain a hobby. I mean, even if you love doing it, so when we started, we're like, oh my gosh, we have to hit this price point. We have to have a dining table for $600. And then we're like, wait, how do we do that and be like profitable in any way? You really can't. And those companies that are at that mark, they're not around very long because it is a hobby for them, and they're not making money to sustain themselves or to make it a large business like we always had in mind. So we really need to step back, take a big picture on it, and even if your competitors are at a different price point, obviously you can't price yourself totally out of the market. Yeah. But you have to be true to yourself first.
Okay.
I would recommend.
I like that. And I never really thought about that yes, depending on the mindset you come on with, hobby versus business, which one will actually sustain you longer down the road. And you're right. If it's a hobby, it's easier to just move on from that and onto something else, as opposed to a business that you plan to grow and have it sustain not just itself, but you.
But if you're doing a hobby, it's also, you have no growth from there. If you're pricing your tables, I'm using tables as an example because it's a perfect example. If you're pricing a table at $600 and you're delivering it yourself, 500 miles away from your home, how long can you sustain that? It's really not sustainable. You're not going to enjoy doing that. And, but if you're looking at the big picture and seeing because there's tons of people, we always try to figure out how do we get to that point? And now I'm looking at it like, those people are not around at all.
Yeah.
Whole new batch of the hobbyists that we have to compete with. And then there's, the guys who have been going on for 5+ years strong. And those are the guys who are really doing well. And you look at their sales and their reviews, they're doing something right.
Yeah. And you guys are too, because I looked at your reviews. It's like 5-star all the way. Everybody has wonderful things to say about you and your furniture. Now, let's talk about the Etsy platform. Is there a feature, or are there features that that are your favorite? And then on the flip side, are there any features that currently don't exist that you would like to see implemented one day, maybe down the road?
Yeah. So the Etsy platform, I honestly think it's one of the easiest ones to use. It gives you the most control over your product. And we're on a considerable number of other online platforms. So definitely is one of the easiest to add product, to change product. You have 100% pretty much control over what your customer sees, which is wonderful. On the flip side is that variations. Thing I was telling you about where the drop-down menus, I would love to see rather than 2 drop-down menus, 3 or 4 drop-down menus, so customer can really customize something right there. They know what they're getting. They know the price they're paying. Like, everything's there. That's one thing. A huge thing for us would be shipping. So right now we have to charge like a flat rate shipping for everything, whether it's going to California or Chicago or Brooklyn. Because there's no way, if you're not using United States Postal Service, to just put in a zip, or be able to zone it, our shipping.
Okay.
So there's no way to do that, and I don't like that at all on Etsy right now.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Does that go for 2 of you?
Yeah. Monika handles a lot more of the actual Etsy interaction side.
Okay.
She's the expert on that front.
Okay. Now, are there any tools in particular and tools or resources for either running your business or selling on Etsy that you're currently using that you find particularly helpful and you don't mind sharing?
My favorite tool, which I passionately love, is Google Drive and Google Docs.
Yeah.
We have everything in there. And the reason I like it is because it's accessible everywhere.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of shared documents. Like, we create an order will come in on Etsy, and then Monika will basically transfer that order into a spreadsheet in Google Docs. And then I can basically see that whether I'm from my phone, from my laptop, anywhere in the world. And I use that, then I copy that to another tab, which is the manufacturing tab. And then that basically tells me we have a 36-inch bench in red oak, and it will give me the dimensions of all the pieces of wood I need to cut for that size bench. So it really streamlines and simplifies the process. Eliminates any kind of mistakes that can potentially get made, like lost in translation and stuff. And then also, like our images, when we do photography, all the images and documents go into a Google Drive folder, which you can then pull up from either of our laptops, or I can log onto someone else's laptop and then onto Google Drive and see it there, or on our phones as well. Basically, you can access it on your phone. So basically, it just makes...
And we can use the drive at the same time. Like, he could be editing photos, and I can take his already edited photos in the folder and start adding it into Etsy and posting them on there.
Oh, right. Because it updates in real time.
Yeah. And you can also both work on the same document at the same time.
Yeah, and it'll tell you that he's working on it.
And it's all free.
I was just about to ask, are you still using just the free? Because I think now they call it Google for Business. There's a paid suite, which isn't really expensive. I think it's something like $5 a month. And then they give you a lot more memory and all. Even though on the free version, there's so much memory, it's almost impossible to use it all.
Yeah, we're like halfway on our memory usage.
Yeah.
So, the only thing we do pay Google for is our email addresses. With Squarespace, they use the Google Mail system.
Okay.
So our email addresses are our domain. So it's like dylan@blissopia.com.
Okay.
But it's actually the Google Mail system that it uses. So you pay like $5 a month.
Okay. And it goes into a Google account, like a Gmail account.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was going to ask about that too. I used to be so paranoid. I shouldn't say used to be. I still am in some ways. And so, because I too work with a lot of files, like I have my audio files and then picture files for, what I do. And so I would always try and save everything on a flash drive, then, back up to an external hard drive. But then as I traveled more, it became cumbersome or almost horrific if I forgot my flash drive somewhere, and then I was crippled. So I started using Google Drive and, all the whole Google suite. And oh my goodness, like you said, the convenience of just being able to access your documents anywhere from any computer. Even though at first I was like, but it's just out there. It doesn't belong to me. But you know what? I got over that for the convenience factor, and it's free.
Yeah.
So Dylan and Monika, what's the best way someone can reach you if they want to get in touch? And I know, Dylan, you just said your email address, but what's the best way? What's your method of preference?
Yeah, definitely email. Kind of working in sales my whole life. I always love having everything in writing. It kind of goes back to that, because you can discuss things with a customer, and a lot of times, like, somebody wants something slightly custom, like a little longer, a little shorter, and I need to do research into it. Like, what is our supplier going to charge us, or how much extra time is it for us? Mm-hmm. And then I want it in writing, like, okay, this is how much, this is going to be, this is the lead time, all that stuff. And it's great to be able to reference that for me and the customer. So definitely email. Okay. My email is similar to Dylan's. It's Monika@Blissopia. I spell my name with a K. Easy way is to just go online on our website, and there's a Contact Us tab. Okay. Our website is blissopia.com, which is BLISSOPIA.com. And yeah, just a Contact Us tab on there, and you can just fill out the information of what they like. Also, they can contact us on Etsy via conversations.
Okay. And I will have links to Monika and Dylan's website, blissopia.com, and their Etsy shop and their contact information, as well as all your social media accounts, if you don't mind, just so if people want to follow you or check you out, they can easily do that. So they'll be able to find you. And I think you're Blissopia everywhere.
Yeah, Instagram is actually Blissopia Furniture.
Okay, all right. So I will put links to that. Monika, Dylan, thank you so much for being my guests and for sharing about your experience running your furniture business on and off Etsy. I've learned a lot, and I'm so happy that I finally got to speak with you both. I hope I get to meet both of you in person in the future.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yes. And
thank you so much for having us.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I thank you for listening to the podcast. I will be back next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.